Good day, sir. We are the Group 7, Chardonnay Fink Mariani Chavez, Irish Medicilio, and Cherry Lumitap, and this is our topic.
Revolutionary period of physical education. Revolution period colonists organized and attempted to fight against the British forces for independence. It quickly became apparent that colonial life was not adequately rigorous to prepare them for life as a soldier in life. Skills used in earlier colonial life was limited to the job skills of the individuals. People in towns during colonial times often worked at a specific trade, like for example, typical trades of colonial America is cobbler or shoemaker. During these colonial times, the cobbler made and repaired shoes. This way, you use your skills, but it is limited because not all people know or have their skill on how to make a shoes. Pre-colonial period of physical education. In this period, frontier life had hunting, tracking, and survival skills as their bases. Indians shared their skills with new settlers as the move to the west continued. Do hunting, gathering, and fishing because it supplied most of the food throughout the West. Most Western indigenous people do their survival skills so that they will live and survive. The topic of hygiene was taught primarily by physicians during this period. Um, in the in the 19th century, people began to realize that relationship between cleanliness and a good health. In the 1880s, French Louis Pasteur discovered the link between microbes and the transmission of disease. Indians played a game called Pigataway, which meant the game of ball, that was similar to current-day lacrosse. This game is a Canadian-Indian game from which lacrosse developed. Two teams of players use long-handled racket-like implements to carry, catch, or throw a ball down the field or into the opponent's goal. The goal is defined by upright and a crossbar framing a loose net. While female played a game with sticks that eventually became field hockey. This game is each player carries a stick and cannot take part in the game without it. Traditionally, hockey sticks were made of hickory, ash, or mulberry wood, with the head of the sticks being hand carried and therefore required skills craftsmen or produced. Egyptians were the first people to create the field hockey stick. People thought this because people saw paintings of the
The rebirth of Olympics. When did the Olympics start in history? The first known Olympics were held in the summer of 776 BC at Olympia, a site in southern Greece where people went to worship their gods. In fact, the Olympics were created in honor of ancient Greece's most famous god, Zeus, king of the gods. 1,500 years after the last Olympic Games had been banned by Roman Emperor Theodosius I, the Olympic Games were reborn and hosted in Athens, Greece. The Olympic Games were revived by Baron Pierre de Coubertin on June 23, 1894 in Paris, with the first Games of the modern era taking place in Athens, Greece in April 6, 1896. Who gave rebirth to Olympics? We celebrate the life of Baron Pierre de Coubertin, a man who 126 years ago united all the nations in friendship and peace through sport in the world's greatest celebration of humanity, the Olympic Games. He saw on display while touring the 1889 Paris Exposition. Coubertin decided to revive the Olympics. While touring a sports conference in 1892, he proposed the idea of the renewal of the Olympic Games. During the course of the 20th century, the Olympic Games increased in size to become the largest and most widely followed sporting event in the world. As the picture shows, this is the Olympic symbol. The Olympic symbols are icons, flags, and symbols used by the International Olympic Committee to promote the Olympic Games. The Olympic motto is Citius, Altius, Fortius, which is Latin for faster, higher, stronger. The motto was proposed by Pierre de Coubertin on the creation of the International Olympic Committee in 1894.
The next topic that we are about to discuss is about the 19th and 20th century of physical education. Let's talk about George Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel. Hegel was the last of the great philosophical system builders of modern times. And Karl Marx. Karl Marx is often treated as a revolutionary, an activist rather than a philosopher. His works inspired the foundation of communist regimes. Both of them were a prominent political figure who influenced trends in education. They both believed that every individual needed to be strong enough to be a contributing member of society. Marxism and socialism contributed to the incorporation of exercise and physical activity as staples in the education of all citizens. Marxism refers to a systematic, dialectical, and historical analysis of capitalism. However, socialism is a political and economic order in which the means of production. The late 1800s and into the 1900s, researchers began to study the effect of strength training and the measurement of increased level of fitness on participants in various programs. This signaled the beginning of our modern concept of fitness and strength training as structured programs rather than arbitrary results. When we talk about arbitrary, meaning existing or by chance. Now, we talk about the two systems of German exercise battled for prominence in early school physical education programs, the Turner and the Swedish system of exercise and physical training. Let's talk about the Turner. The Turner is a system of gymnastic training heavy apparatus, like for example, the side horse and the parallel bars. And also for the Swedish system, they promotes health through the performance of a prescribed movement patterns with light apparatus. Light apparatus, for example, is the climbing ropes and wands. Now let's discuss our next topic, the birth of modern organized sports. First is the stages of development of organized sports in 1850s to 1900s. Sports was used as social control in the reformation of public school. The development of sports began to spiral from 1860s onward. Next is growth of university and school sports. School sports refers to athletic programs in the context of the school settings. They refer most often to inter-school competition at the middle, junior high school, and high school level in the United States. School sports also include intramurals competition, but such programs are very. A spectator sports is a sport that is characterized by the presence of spectators or watchers at its competitions. Spectator sports may be professional sports or amateur sports. They are often distinguished from participant sports, which are more recreational. Most popular sports are both spectators and participant. For example, association football, basketball, cricket, tennis, rugby, golf, athletics, and volleyball. Less popular sports are mainly participant sports. Next is development of sports club. In 1898, the sports club company owned and operated 15 clubs with 7 more under development. The company began to expand national more than had been the case in the past. The national organization organized and sponsored national championships. This is where the common national and international rules were written. And also, records were kept in sports where it was appropriate.
1900s to 1930. The uneasy joining of PE and sports. First to appear were non school sports, which sparked interest in the physical education curriculum. The creation of the NCAA has an impact on sports and sports in schools and universities. Sports were included into the curriculum during the new physical education of the 1920s. Sports and games replaced health and wellness in American physical education in the 1960s and 1970s. Instead of concentrating on having a background in medicine and formal gymnastics, there was a demand for teachers who were more athletically oriented. The general physical education curriculum now routinely includes games and sports. World War I. In World War I, physical therapy was a relatively new concept in the 19th century, but its origin date back to ancient China, where people thought that through exercising, the body might be healed. World War I brought about almost universal physical education legislation in the United States, making possible the introduction of sports skill programs.